Hey everybody, I imagine you're actually pretty surprised to see me doing this, and you might also be surprised to see no camera. Stop licking my feet, oh my god. Stop it. I love you. Surprised to see no camera. I've decided that there's a couple of games that I'd actually really like to cover, but I feel like it would just be a million times easier to do them in my own time, in a kind of old-fashioned YouTube-y style LP, and I'll have no camera so I can relax a little bit more, because this is like a bonus recording that I feel like I'll put up when either on a day that I wouldn't be streaming, or if I have to cancel due to a migraine or something else coming up or something like that. But more than anything, I just went through Pathfinder Kingmaker and really enjoyed that and enjoyed talking to people about it, but I saw a lot of folks that had wanted me to go through another CRPG, because I talk about them with such, like, not high hopes. I talk about them with such, not grandeur, what am I trying to say? I hold the genre in such high esteem. And I remember when I played Deadfire a million years ago, back when it came out, that I had finished it off pretty much the second or third week of launch, and said that I was going to come back to it once all of the DLC expansions had come out, which would have been Beast of Winter, Seeker Slayer Survivor, and Forgotten Sanctum. And what is this? Oh, this is just the free DLC they added. And I also want to play a multi-class character. So, if you were familiar, I did a Pillars 1 LP a million years ago on stream, and I very publicly lamented the kind of, like, reception it got. But, like, the people that did enjoy it really, really enjoyed it, and it would make me happy to put out the kind of content that's more for that kind of smaller, dedicated audience that typically gets underserved by my channel in particular for these long-form games. So I figured I'd give it a shot. I'm not promising that we're going to do the whole thing. I plan to, but no promises. But I also plan on recording a bunch of these before actually putting it up. So there'll probably be an answer to go with this as soon as the first one goes up. So without further ado, I'm just going to talk about how we're going to be playing this. I'm going to be playing it real time with pause. The main reason I'm going to be playing it real time with pause is because it's so much goddamn faster. While I do obviously appreciate turn-based mode in every game that has it, and every game that is designed around it, I feel like while it's really cool that they were able to implement a turn-based mode for Pillars 2 long after its release, it does have one major fucking problem, and that problem is the fact that all of the enemy mounts, all of the encounters were based around real-time with pause. You can play through the first encounter in the game. It's part of the tutorial immediately after leaving the underworld, or whatever you want to call it, the wheel, I guess, and discover that the very first fight in the game, in which I think you only have control over 2 characters, which is you and Eder, but there are like 20 moving actors in the scene, takes, like, unironically 10 times longer than the original one. Also, the game's balancing is a little strange with turn-based. The number one thing is dexterity works completely differently. In real-time with pause, dexterity acts in terms of how fast your character can act. So when they do regular attacks or targeted attacks or whatever, the little bar that fills up kind of like an ATB bar. But in turn-based mode, it basically just determines initiative, which is much less important. So for the speed and my own personal preference and the balance, I'm going to be playing real-time with pause mode, especially after going through Kingmaker. Kingmaker having the turn-based mode added to it as a mod and having it switchable by hitting the T on the keyboard is kind of unbelievable. I think there were only 5 fights in the entire game that I used turn-based on. And those were fights that were way, way above my difficulty level. Like, I was there super early, but because I had the time to think about it in turn-based, I was able to bullshit my way through with some lucky rolls and a few judicious applications of grease, which, if you're not familiar with grease from Dungeons & Dragons, it's one of the all-time greatest spells ever, to the point where this game has a grease knockoff called Slicken, which is basically the same fucking thing. In addition to that, we're going to be playing with a couple mods. Luckily, Deadfire doesn't need mods at all. Like, there's really no reason that you need to have mods. The ones that I have are just little cleanups. So we can go down to the mod manager. The first mod that I installed is the Enhanced User Interface by Spherical. It literally just makes icons a little bigger, a little cleaner. Makes the colors on certain statuses pop a little more clearly. That's it. And then I installed the community patch, basic, extra keywords, typos, and icons. Typos and icons are fairly self-explanatory. Keywords shows some missing keywords in some priest spells and druid spells, so it's a little easier to keep track of what a shred cipher spell is, for example. And basic and extra are some bug fixes and some suggestions for game balance. So the two that pop out into my mind is they changed the way that your offhand bonus applies to barbarian carnage attacks to fit the actual text of the description, and little bug fixes like that. And the extra one is a little bit more balancy, but it basically just juices a couple more worthless aspects of character creation. Like, Fire and Moon Godlikes are really good sub-races to pick, but their racial attributes of, like, a damage reduction or a healing spell don't scale with their level, but with the community patch extra, they do scale a little bit with their level. Little things like that. Nothing major. They were all based on community suggestions. I went through the entire change list. You can check them out on the Pillars of Eternity 2 Nexus. I'd recommend them. You can install them with Vortex. You can install Enhanced User Interface with Steam Workshop, and honestly, if you're first time playing through the game, I would just recommend grabbing the Enhanced User Interface on the Steam Workshop, and that's it. I installed all these manually instead of through Vortex or the Steam Workshop, and the only reason I did that was so that I could show them to you on this screen, because if you install them with Vortex, they won't show up in this thing, and you can't modify the load order from within the game, but that's it. You can set your Pillars of Eternity 1 game state, which is kind of interesting. I'm going to delete these. These were my created histories. So the basic deal is that you open it up and you immediately go into, like, what did you do with the main story? What did you do with each companion? Stuff like that. Today we're going to be using my Pillars of Eternity 1 save, which I kind of should have done the whole way through, except on the game's original launch, you couldn't do that because a bunch of the save import features were broken. So one of the most annoying that you can see right away is that if you imported your Pillars 1 save at the very beginning of Pillars 2 on the first day that it came out, and you talked to Eder, who you had strengthened his skepticism, you would find that he had in fact become super religious, and his shit was all broken and fucked up. So the solution to that for most people was just make a custom background that fits your appropriate world state at the end of Pillars 1. Now, at the end of Pillars 1, that LP, by the way, is up on the channel, the YouTube channel in the archives, over at youtube.com/PatStaresAt, if you're unfamiliar for whatever reason. It was a 17-part, like 60, 70 hour LP that I was kind of an amateur streamer at the time. It's like 3-4, it's 5 years ago. Oh my god, it was 2017, and I just realized that meant that it was 5 years ago. Jesus fucking Christ. It's pretty amateurish by the time. But if you want to find out what happened, you can go check that out. I don't remember what I did with some of the companions. I'll be quite honest. I don't remember what the fuck I did with Aleth and Isomir. Because I don't give a fuck about Aleth and Isomir. But the long and short of it is at the end of Pillars 1, I made one really good decision that I feel really strongly and really good about. And I made one really bad decision, which I kind of finished the game off for the lulz, and just fucked all the souls into the heavens and the dirt and the ether, and just said, yeah, whatever. And I regret that, but we're gonna roll with it because we're gonna use a save import, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. So we're gonna start with choose real time with pause, and because this is a replay, and I don't care, we're gonna be just playing it on classic, which is quote unquote normal. Though I would say that if this is your first CRPG, that classic is actually like fairly difficult. CRPGs are very numbers based, very build based, very. I mean, they're a little rough. So if it's your first one, be it this one or Kingmaker or Torment or Baldur's Gate, whatever, yeah, just put a little baby mode. Just put a little baby mode a little bit. No harm in that. Trial of Iron is Iron Man, which fuck that. In a game like this, it's for absolute masochists. We have Expert Mode, which turns off like AoE circles and shit like that, which I could also not recommend at all, considering your intelligence will increase the size of your AoEs by like 60% in some cases. No, don't. You wouldn't. You can possibly no. And then there's level scaling. Now, personally, don't care for level scaling. I like finding a location on the ass end of the map that is completely fucked and deciding that I'm going to come back later. And I also like places that I run into that are completely jokified, that you fucking steamroll your shit through. In addition, the game has 3 pieces of DLC now. So the long and short of it is that you're going to hit level cap like way before the end of the game. You can change it to the critical path only, which seems like a decent compromise. But yeah, I'm gonna go with none. I don't really care for it. All right. Last but not least is Bereth's Blessings, which is probably the first New Game Plus feature I've ever seen in a CRPG. So let's load it up. It's based off of your total achievements. Your achievements, each particular one will give you a certain amount of Bereth's Blessings. I have 51 of Bereth's Blessings here. And they're going to give you all sorts of bonuses, right? These range from cool but useless, like 5,000 starting money, not a big deal, who cares? To start the game at level 4, also trap choice, totally useless. You're going to hit level cap super easy. To shit like this, Mythical Audrestone appears in the Prologue Armoire. This basically is a super rare upgrade material that'll let you upgrade a weapon to its absolute utmost. So it's better than it looks, but it costs 30 blessings. So the ones that we're going to go with, for me personally, because we're going to run with Eder will get a pet slot. This matters because pets give you party-wide buffs. So this fucking rocks shit. But only if you use Eder. Legendary Crew, don't really care for it. Load of Pockets, nah, I'm not going to be pickpocketing that much. Discount Craftsman, crafting and enchanting currency costs are reduced. What's important to note about this is that when it says costs are reduced, it does not reduce the amount of materials you use. It only talks about the amount of gold. So it's way less useful than it looks. You got Infamous Past. This is just great. Pick this. Getting a mutiny to go off on your ship is bordering on impossible. in the normal play of the game. And the infamous Captain passive gives you a 5% damage buff. So there's absolutely no goddamn reason to not take it. Unique item vendor's okay. Like, genuinely. Experienced ship to captain is completely fucking useless. Upgraded ship sales is decent. Actually, you kind of move a little faster. Fine equipment, it's totally fucking useless. Bonus skills. Your classes grants double their normal skill bonuses. So this looks really good. This looks like it's going to be like, oh, if I had like 5 athletics, I'd have 10 athletics. No. It means that when you pick a fighter and get 2 athletics, instead of getting a total of 7 after a level up, you would get a total of 9 because the bonus is +4 and only happens once. Which is why it's only at 3. However, exploring the whole fucking world map, that's great, especially for somebody like me who already beat the game. The most annoying part of playing the game, by far, not even close, is actually figuring out where the fuck anything is on the world map, because you have to click through the fog of war in these tiny little trips, and it's just an annoying fucking pain in the ass. Like, if I want to go to not Peregrine's Outlook, if I want to go to Splinter Reef Cave right away to buy some fucking shark meat, I think that's where it is. I want to be able to do that as soon as I get to Nekataka. I don't want to have to fucking ass my way all the way around the map. Don't want to do it. It's just nice. And these are bonuses anyway, right? So it doesn't really matter. And then, this is the best one. This is the best one by far. It's not even close. Bonus attributes for the player only. You begin with an inherent bonus to Might, Constitution, Dex, Intelligence, Perception, and Resolve. This is 12 fucking points to your character sheet. This is +2 on everything. Is this cheating? Oh, fuck yeah, it's cheating. Oh, Jesus, hell yeah, it's cheating. This lets you fucking dump, like, Resolve and fucking Constitution down to, like, 6. And then it'll bump it up to 8. Which is, like, fine. It's fucked up. This means a stat of 18 will become a fucking starting state of 20. Yeah, it's not fair as shit. It's fucking super broken. I don't care. It's fucking cool that you unlock this on New Game Plus. And I love it. I'm gonna use it. So let's accept. Oh, and last but not least, I should mention, it was probably clear a little bit from before, from what I was saying, but, did that Discord noise just come through? Alright, sorry about that momentary interruption, though I guess in a pre-recorded format it's not that annoying. Now that I have adequately silenced the incessant, unending, harpy-like droning of the wonderful Peach Saliva, who I love very much and would never imply that she is a harpy who never saw I was talking. We're ready to go. I love you, baby, if you're watching this, which you probably will. Okay. Let's start a game.
Aora, a world where mortals live, die, and are reborn through the turning of the wheel. The cycle of reincarnation watched over by the gods, and made possible through pillars of a mystical substance known as Audra. 5 years ago, you traveled from your home to the Deerwood, a nation that had waged war against the incarnated god of light, Aethys, resulting in his destruction. The country suffered from a plague of hollowborn, infants born without souls. that many believed was punishment for killing a god. In an ancient, secluded ruin, you witnessed a secret ritual that inadvertently transformed you into a Watcher. One who can see and speak with souls. The ritual also gave you horrible visions, waking nightmares of a past life that threatened your sanity. To put them to rest, you pursued the man who had led the ritual, a seemingly immortal agent of the gods, known as Theos Ix Arcanon. With divine assistance, you confronted and defeated Theos, ending your visions and resolving the Hollowborn crisis. In so doing, you also learned the great secret that Theos had protected. That the ancient empire of Anguith had transformed themselves into gods. Your visions finally put to rest, you retired to the castle of Cadnua, built atop a massive statue of pure Audra, where you ruled in relative peace and prosperity.
Made a nice story. You fixing up that old keep? Lifting the curse? Must have told it 100 times. But something got to gnawing at me. Thinking the spirits there weren't really at rest. That maybe the gods weren't finished with us. Dream that when my God came back, he would forgive us. Last the trouble with dreams. Sooner or later, we all have to wake up.
And so you wake to a sleepless world, the in-between of life and death. Follow your memories. You have been here before.
Well, that certainly popped off with a bang. I'm dead! I'm fucking dead.
You have seen past the shroud. You are a Watcher now, and a Watcher you will stay.
I remember that old dwarf lady. She was dead, hanging off that tree.
Sees souls, knows their pasts, and the souls see them back.
And that's good old Merwald. I put him as the warden of Cadnua, which he is unfortunately now destroyed, I guess.
A dubious honor, inheriting a fortress both broken and cursed.
It's my statue. She runs things. Apologies if you're familiar with Pillars 1, but I'm going to assume most people aren't.
Is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked?
I erased your memory so you don't know shit, you dumb bitch.
The gods aren't real, but something else entirely. Something created by people.
Yeah, that's your big plot twist of Pillars 1, is that the gods aren't actually real gods. They are divine beings, and they are super powerful.
And did you ever consider
but they're
that these were
manufactured.
things you were never meant to understand? That their comprehension is beyond you?
Let the world see. Let Let them decide what to do.
What's interesting is the opening title crawl says, with divine intervention, you defeated Theos, which we're actually going to see in the relative near future.
Turned again, Watcher.
Isn't true.
Come.
Here's the part I see every time I go to build Theorize.
An aged dwarf shares this strange floating platform with you. His face is creased by so many wrinkles that his features lie buried amid shadowy pockets of skin. Still, the dwarf's well-practiced habits have left telltale tracks of a welcoming rictus across his visage.
All right.
You can see his smile coming before it blooms, reshaping the dwarf's face from a hanging sack of flesh into something resembling an oddly carved, merry gourd, replete with unhealthy bumps and discolored splotches.
That's nice, old dwarf man. The reason why I say that I keep showing up here to build characters is that if you choose to skip the intro, you skip that little walkabout thing where it reminds you that you beat up Theos and the gods aren't real and whatnot. But regardless, moving on.
Sit. Please. Thank you for joining us, Watcher of Cadnua.
Now, obviously, you're not going to be able
The
to...
woman seated at the table is clad in time-worn black armor that seems too massive for her to move in.
That's right, I forgot. While everything is voiced in Pillars 2, critical story moments will in fact have their narration spoken aloud as well. I'm going to be taking advantage of letting the audio play out, by and large, and I will not be able to mouse over every single one of these. I will mouse over any of them that I don't remember or seem really quite obscure, but you can pause if you so desire. But it should be all relatively clear with context clues. But regardless, hello.
A pale, slender neck rises from the gorge head, topped by a hollow face. The milky skin stretched across it is delicate and translucent, like parchment that has been scraped clean too many times.
Mm-hmm.
She's preoccupied with the arrangement of cards on the table between you. With each movement, her armor squeaks and groans as though bearing an incredible weight. She places a final card, gives a nod of satisfaction, and raises her eyes to meet yours.
Your brush with the divine has drained you of your powers, fractured your memories. Look upon these cards. They represent the courses of your life. You alone know best how they flowed. Arrange them to fit what you remember.
So here's your justification for being able to roll a different background, in that the events of Pillars 1 are being presented entirely in memory form, so that if you had built a custom legacy or choose a pre-made custom legacy, you can fudge it right at the end so that, you just didn't remember good. It's also the in-game explanation of you losing most of your Watcher powers, as well as being set to level 1 and being able to switch your class. The only issue I have with this explanation, which is otherwise pretty good, is that it does not explain why characters such as Pallegina and Eder, who are Pillars 1 companions, were also bizarrely set to level 1. But, I mean, they want to make a level 1 to 20 game. They don't want to have it go 20 to 40 like the Baldur's Gate expansions, which was actually too much and was really unbalanced. So it makes sense. But, Eder didn't go back to level 1. Anyway, let's examine the cards. So we're able to pick Benevolent Soul, which is you did everything super nice. Oh, you were so nice. Oh, and you returned the souls to the children. Fair and Balanced, where you said you were going to get them back to the wheel, to Bereth, who we're talking to right now. And we were chill. Survival of the Fittest. We said we were going to strengthen the Deerwood and do whatever. Dark Times. We said we were going to fuck those souls up. And we tore ass through Pillars 1 like you wouldn't fucking believe. Keeper of Secrets. We were going to pledge the souls to Rimmergan, but then we gave them to Wodika, who is the primary antagonist of that game. And said it was secret. And then everything bad. You killed every companion, of which there are 1, 2, 3 in this game that fill up a party makeup. You fucked up. You got the worst outcome possible. It's really quite clear when they say, do not do this for new players. Because it locks off 3 party members that are all excellent, including the 2 of the first that you get. So, yeah. Definitely. We're going to import our save here. Good old Patron the Coward. You can see my little symbol down there. That's my little guy. Was an elf. I was an elf rogue, and I used a crossbow from the back.
Does everything appear to be in order?
That is, in fact, what happened. Yes, Bereth.
Good. Welcome to the Beyond. I am Bereth. One half, anyway.
She points a finger in the direction of the dwarf who led you here. Though the movement is slight, her gauntlet squeaks like a rusty hinge. The dwarf's rictus returns as he nods in the woman's direction. The gods offered you boons in exchange for resolving the Hollowborn crisis. You did not accept any of their offers. What did you do with the souls?
So, you were given the choice of getting to the final area without having a god's help, and I didn't trust any of them, so I didn't take them up on any of their offers, which ended up making me feel really incredibly smart when I found out that the gods were in fact not really divine, they were fake. However, given the opportunity right at the end of the game by Whale, the god of mysteries and fucking a boot, to just do whatever with the souls, I literally could not help it. And I just took the souls of thousands of children and ran a cosmic roulette wheel for funsies.
Tell me, do you remember when we last met?
Yeah, I remember. The last time I met you was the Hall of Stars in Twin Elms in Erglanfath. I didn't take your deal.
You came to that tower seeking our aid.
That's true.
You prayed for help in reaching Theos, beyond the Court of Penitence, but would not pledge yourself to me.
Or any others, for that matter.
Still, a pledge unmade stands fairer in this court than a pledge broken.
So the way that this works is that if you pledged a particular faction and then followed through with that, you get a little bonus. So +1 to this, or your ship goes a little faster or whatever. However, if you break your pledge, it turns out that the gods get super pissy about it, and they hit you with a debuff. So the one that always stands out to me is the Hylia, the goddess of flight and birds and whatnot. Just has birds shit on your ship constantly throughout the entire game, so it's a little slower. So I'm pretty happy with having ignored the gods in the first place.
She places a card in the middle of the arrangement. A bell tower with no bell. Her fingertips slowly drag away from the card, faintly creaking as they retreat across the table.
Wonder if that's a reference to the tower.
You had need of the gods once before. Now it seems we have need of you. The being that occupied Odnua's statue beneath your castle was the dead god, Aothus. Of this we are certain. What we do not know is what his intentions are. Though Aothus stole a large fragment of your soul, you were strong enough to survive the onslaught and enter the in-between.
In-between being not quite afterlife.
You and he are still connected. He has chosen a body made of living Audra, perfused with the power of thousands of souls, including yours. It should be little difficulty for an experienced watcher to find him.
So I don't care for any of these gods. I view them as totally illegitimate. So that's how we're going to be playing it. Why don't you just do it yourself?
Taking a physical form in Eora is fraught with peril. Most mortal minds and bodies are incapable of containing divine power. It can lead to problems, as Aothus learned not long ago.
Her armored hand gingerly places a card sideways on the table. It features a man with a burst of light instead of a head.
So I've had enough of dealing with the gods. All of you. Why should I care about any of this shit?
Did you care for the souls of the Deerwood who clung to you as they stumbled blindly through the in-between? You are a beacon to all of the lost, Watcher. Your soul gleams as brightly to them as Audra itself.
For a moment, there is a glint in the blackness of her eyes. A flash of wondrous recollection.
Those who have fallen in Aethys' wake are trapped inside him still. If you will not help them, who will? Of course, if that doesn't convince you, I can always return you to the wheel and find someone else to pursue him.
So here's a great little detail. We're not going to do it. I believe I actually did it on my first stream of this game. If I pick number 2, it doesn't matter how much you threaten me. I'm not doing this. You instantly die and game over. It's a little hidden ending where they just kill you and the game ends and you don't find out what happened. So, with that being said, let's just get on with it.
Good. Before you return to Aora as my herald, you must remember who you were. The last whisper of life in death.
All right.
For a moment, the sockets of her eyes darken, leaving the pits of a death's head gazing out at you.
When you can picture your own face, the beyond will lead you back to your own kind, to the world of mortals.
All right. So you could choose to import a character. Now, probably the super weirdest part about this is that I expected my existing character to be there. And they're not. Because the phrase of import. These are some suggested characters. Probably the most interesting thing about them is that much like the characters of the party that we're going to see, they don't have very good stats. In fact, the only one that seems to have decent stats at all is Voti here. I don't think anybody has anything above... Okay, he's got 17. But generally... Oh, there's 18. Okay, it's not the end of the world. But they tend to be a lot less min-maxed than you or I would make a character. My last character, the original Patron the Coward, was laughably min-maxed. Had the lowest possible constitution and the lowest possible resolve. So that he was a bullet, but nobody could look at him. We're not going to do quite the same thing, so we're going to start from scratch. So I'm going to play as a man, because that's just how I like to do. Now here's a tough one. There's a lot of games that do race selection. I mean, I recently finished Pathfinder, and Pillars gets really, really close to having it right in that it's flavor with a nice little bonus, though there is some issues. So with Alma, you get +2 to... So any of these +2s that you see, or plus whatever, none of them matter, because they all even out. You can choose your points willy-nilly, so the only thing that actually matters is, like, Alma can start with 20 strength. 20 might, sorry. Dwarves can hit a maximum of 17 dexterity, for example. Doesn't actually mean anything in making your character 1 point here or there. They're only percentage points. But, so ignore these. The only things that actually matter at all is the existence of the racial bonuses. So some of these are way better than others. Most of them are pretty mid. One is incredible. One is good for really specific buffs builds, but they're all kind of useless. So you got Island Alma here. They are not affected by impediments to movement, so mud or whatnot. I hate this. I would rather have nothing, because it means that if you have a squishy character, they're actually going to run ahead of Eder and Pallegina and Yoti and get fucking killed. So don't care for it. A Coastal Alma, Towering Physique, they have resistance to Might Afflictions, so they don't get staggered, dazed, or stunned as easily. Okay, that's something. We got Dwarves here. Hale and Hardy, Constitutional Afflictions, which are Sickened, Weakened, and Enfeebled. Okay. You have Boreal Dwarves, which are good against oozes, fungi, plants, ogres, skulders, trolls, Vithrak, and Zaurips. They get a slight buff to those enemy types. That's maybe 15-20% of the game's cast. No undead in there. That'd be fucking sick. No constructs. I couldn't possibly recommend it. Then you got Elves. Elemental Endurance gives you a resistance to burn and freeze damage. That's okay, depending on what you're fighting. Wood Elf, which is the character I played as in the original Pillars, they have a resistance towards Dexterity Afflictions. So we have Alma and Dwarves and these guys that are resistant to certain afflictions. The most important thing to note is the Dexterity Afflictions in this game, and I guess this is a bit of a meta-knowledge, are the worst affliction. Because Dexterity Afflictions in this game include Immobilized and Paralyzed. Paralyzed being the absolute goddamn fucking worst thing that can happen to your character. Confusion in this game is not the same as your classical Confusion, where you lose control and they go AoE crazy. And Confusion in this game, which would be an intellectual affliction, just means that your existing non-AoE, non-friendly fire moves now have friendly fire. So it's really not the end of the world. Paralyzed, though, you're fucked. So this one is better than these other two by default. Then you have Godlike, who, as I mentioned earlier, have gotten a slight buff in this. The Death Godlike gives you a near-death damage bonus. Fire Godlike gives you an armor rating bonus and a boon. These guys heal when they're bloodied or near death. And Nature Godlikes basically receive bonuses when they're buffed. The downside to this is that you can't wear any helmets. There's a lot of really powerful helmets in the game. And if you're going to be rocking Pallegina, that's 2 characters that can't wear any good helmets. The 2 best ones, even before the nerf, were Fire and Moon Godlike because of their increased survivability for most classes. That's my opinion. And if you're doing a huge damage dealing thing, you would obviously want to be running fucking Death Godlikes, because fighting anything that's about to die or you're about to die means that you're going to be doing more damage. So for like a rogue or something like that, this might actually be really good. Like if you're running like a tank or a street fighter, I would say that this guy or this guy would be good. Moving on, we've got humans. Now you got 3 types of humans. And it basically seems to be split between Caucasians, Africans, and maybe Mediterranean or Arab folk. It's just flavor differences. It's just the different countries that they're from, like Raid Saracen, Deerwood, Italy, like fake Italy, and then Deadfire, what have you. However, the basic difference here, stat-wise, between all of them and the rest is they get Fighting Spirit. When they're bloodied or near death, which is basically when they're under 50%, they gain a bonus to accuracy and damage. This is great for anyone that's supposed to be taking hits. This is useless for anyone that's not going to be taking hits. So, tanks, go human. Just like anybody that's like a warrior or barbarian or something like that, like fucking get in there, go human. But not so much for like a rogue or a chanter or what have you. And last but not least, you have Orlan, which kind of drive me crazy. One, they're fucking hideous. I can't stand them. I want to kick them. They're very small. But that's not the issue I actually have. So, Wild Orlan, these furry little dudes, they are resistant to resolve afflictions, such as Shaken, Frightened, Terrified. Okay, that's the second worst thing that can happen to you, because that Terrified, I believe, also removes control of your character. But then you got Hearth Orlan. Hearth Orlan gain something called Minor Threat. And Minor Threat, if you attack a target that's attacking another target, you receive a hit to crit bonus, which is absolutely fucking incredible for everyone, which makes them, aside from tanks, the best classes, the best race to play as. I hate it. I hate that these little dudes are given a mechanically, dramatically superior bonus than everybody else. It's infuriating. It's absolutely nuts. So let's back out to the race selection. Basically, the way you're going to want to build your party is pretty simple in this game. You're going to have one tank. For me, that tank is going to be Eder. We'll meet him relatively soon. You're going to have one caster. That caster can be you, it can be Aleth, it can be Jyoti, the priest subclass, it can be Takehu, or it can be pure chanting Pallegina, which I wouldn't recommend. For this particular run, we're going to be going with Takehu as our caster, because I didn't play as him in my first run, and he is the best druid a druid can buy. So we have a tank and a caster. Then you're going to want somebody who does ranged damage, and in this game, there is no fucking substitute. Maya is the strongest character and the best ranged damage, so we'll be hanging out with Maya. Okay, so then we have two remaining slots. We're going to call them melee damage and flex. Basically, you want to have the 4 archetypes done. You want range damage, melee damage, tank, caster. Now, the flex spot can be either a duplicate of any of those, or it can be support, right? So good support in this game would be Pallegina rolling Paladin Chanter, right? So she's a tougher Paladin, but not the beastiest bitch in the world. Or you can be rolling with your Chanter spells so that she can buff the party. Personally, I really like Pallegina. I know she's kind of stuck up, but I think she's cool. So we are going to be running her as a Paladin Chanter. As such, support role is done, leaving me with melee DPS. So for melee DPS, we've got the choices of, let's say, a godlike, maybe an elf. Human would not actually be super good. Maybe an Alma for funsie. Let's take a look at Death Godlike. A really cool character. Cool head. However, they are disliked because they're gross, right? It's got to be near death. Okay, nah, we're not gonna go with that. No, we're gonna go with an elf again because I don't want that dexterity affliction. And also, I was an elf last time, so why not? So we'll elf it up. We're gonna go with wood elf, and we're gonna multi-class. So in the original game, I was a rogue, and I loved running that rogue. So I'm gonna run rogue again. Also, rogue is probably rogue and fighter and wizard are probably the 3 strongest multi-class abilities because you get all sorts of good shit right away. So we're gonna run rogue right away. Also, I'm gonna run bluff is lie. I think there's a diplomacy one in here somewhere. History, diplomacy. Yeah, lying a little bit. Maybe we'll just lie a little bit sometimes. And Streetwise is just survival, but for city. Anyway, we'll rogue it up. We have a bunch of subclasses to choose from. These are all good. These are genuinely really all good. So you've got Assassin, which gives you... God, it gives you fucking a huge damage increase. Like an absolutely disgusting damage increase. It doesn't say the numbers here, but I think it's like plus 50 raw. And like... a hugely increased crit rate when you attack from stealth. But your damage received is increased. How much? 15%. So it's something to take into account when you're running your stats. Then you've got Street Fighter, which is your tankier rogue. So if you're running like a fighter rogue, you might want to run a Street Fighter. because sneak attack gets more deadly, and recovery, which is your attack speed, decreases when you're flanked, which means you have more than 2 people or you're being affected by a spell, or bloodied, which is 25 to 50%, and your weapon crit damage increases when they are both flanked and bloodied. So the thing about these guys is that they do really well with humans, because humans also get the buff to being bloodied and near death. However, recovery is slower when you are neither flanked nor bloodied. Right? So, it's kind of a bummer. I don't know how much slower. It doesn't actually say, I don't think. Right-click for details. Yeah, it just says increases. But the, I believe it's 25%, actually, come to think of it. Then you got Trickster, Dabble, and Illusion. This one's actually really good. Your sneak attack does 10% less damage, but you get Dazzling Lights, Mirrored Image, Repulsive Visage, Displaced Image, Confusion, Wondrous Torment, and Gaze of the Adragon for free. Use, you know, rogue shit to power it, but, I mean, that's pretty cool. And then Debonair, which is a really interesting one. You have a hugely increased hit to crit against charmed targets, specifically charmed, not dominated. And you gain a charm ability right here. You just gain it. Bam. 1 guile, charm ability. However, you can't engage, which is you can't lock down a target at all in any way. And this is the really fun part, you gain the Cowardice ability. So the Cowardice ability gives you a -10 accuracy and -10 to all your defenses if there are no allies nearby. Luckily for a rogue that is going to be running things with, you know, a front position. Like, if you're ranged, it can be a little tough position-wise. But if you're running, like, in the thick of it, you're always going to be next to Eder or something like that. Personally, maybe a little micro-intensive, but I'm interested in playing a stealthier rogue character. I've never played one. Ironically enough, because in Pillars 1, I did play a rogue, but it was not a melee rogue, because in Pillars 1, it was really easy to get fucking killed in like a second. However, Assassin, given their incredible boosts to damage and the incentive to use their distraction abilities, you're going to be running stuff like Escape into Shadowing Beyond, or Shadow Step, or you know, Flurry of Blades, or... Yeah, actually, you would never get these multi-classing. And you're also going to be running Smoke Veil, which will make them untargetable and invisible for 5 seconds. And what's really weird is that Smoke Cloud distracts enemies and interrupts, but it doesn't fucking make you invisible or untargetable either. So, despite the AoE effect, it really does look like Smoke Veil is, like, better, like, overall. The Smoke Grenade has a lot of interesting applications. Regardless, we're going to be running Assassin. Boop. Now, we could go with Crippling Strike, which is cool. It's a good one. It does good damage. But I'm thinking we're going to go with Escape. Specifically so that I don't fucking die. And we can just pick up Crippling Strike later. Nah, let's go Crippling Strike. Fuck it, I can respect if I need to. Alright, so. Next up is Cipher. Ciphers are cool, and the Cipher you get in the story, a guy named Seraphim, is the shittiest possible Cipher the game could have possibly made, and I don't like him. So, fuck him. Also, I feel like having your soul blown apart and having your old Watcher abilities, it does feel natural to play a Cipher. These are psionics. They basically build up mind juice by hitting people. So the synergy here is basically They have an ability called, let's see, where is it? They have an ability called Biting Whip, or Soul Whip, which gives you 20% extra damage weapons. Straight up. And when you do that damage, you get more, soul juice. On top of that, as a rogue, if anybody is afflicted by shit or flanked, you gain 30% damage. So anybody who's got 2 people flanking them, anybody who's got any body or mind affliction of which Crippling Strike counts, or any mental effect that a, what do you call it, a Cipher could put on you counts. Straight up. Okay. 30% damage plus 20% extra damage. That's 50% damage right off the bat. Then with Assassinate, oh my goodness. So, to synergize with Assassinate, we're going to want to have the biggest motherfucking hits possible. So, you have a couple subclasses here. You have Ascendant. They're kind of cool. You basically, it costs way too much to cast your spells normally, so what you're going to have to do is build up your focus to its maximum, and upon building your focus up to its maximum, you will be able to cast for free for like 20-ish seconds. And that's cool. But that's not really what I want to do. Beguiler, it's pretty simple. Your deception spells are more powerful. And they restore your focus, which is your energy meter, when you cast them. Specifically when they're cast on enemies vulnerable to sneak attack. So, for example, if I was running a Debonair and I charmed somebody, I could throw a deception spell on them and get some of my fucking focus back. That's pretty good. Those two naturally synergize. Scion seems like shit. You regenerate fucking focus naturally, and you get a interrupt, but Soul Whip doesn't fucking exist. It seems like shit. Soul Blade. Now this shit is what I am talking about. It is cool, man. For real. You gain something called Soul Annihilation, which has a minimum cost of 10 focus and a maximum cost of all of your focus. It takes whatever you got and turns it into a big hit. And it's forever. You can use it as many times as you want. So, against little babies, you can throw this shit out when you want. Against big babies, you can build it up. And against really big babies, you can go into stealth and hit somebody with a completely maxed out Soul Annihilation with your sneak attack and assassinate bonuses, and do something like 300% of like 200% of your regular fucking, just blow them the fuck up. Now, it's interesting to note, this is what's called a primary attack. In Pillars 2, there's something called a full attack and a primary attack. So, I don't know why the fuck I'm mousing over this and it actually lists full attack. That seems like a fucking mistake. Regardless, yeah, that seems like a mistake. A primary attack means that if you have 2 weapons, one in each hand, you will do an attack with your main hand weapon. If you do a full attack, you'll do with both weapons simultaneously, and that's pretty much it. If you're running a 2-handed weapon, it does more damage than full attack with 2 one-handed weapons, because the one-handed weapons have their power decreased by 35%, so it's supposed to even out, but when you do a primary attack, you switch to your other weapon for your next attack, which is going to be faster as your offhand, if it's like a dagger or something like that, so you'll be able to attack much faster. You could min-max this to fucking death. At the end of the day, it's definitely not the end of the world. And I'm going to be playing a cool-ass rogue, and I'm going to run two weapons because I can. And it's cool, and I'll just make sure that my primary weapon is the strongest weapon on my character. Is that super optimal? Maybe not. But considering I'm mousing over this and it says full attack, even though it's supposed to be a primary attack, I'm now actually confused as to which one it is. Bonus penalty. Soul Annihilation. Here we go. Yeah, it says primary, but I guess we'll see it in the battle log if we need to. But regardless, we'll be running. We're going to be running Soul Annihilation, and then one of the things that's cool is that Shred abilities cost a little less. So Shred abilities are like damaging Cipher abilities. So gonna pick up. Where is it? Whisper of Treason. It's not a Shred ability, but it's incredible. Even if I'm not building for Charm, it's fucking super sick. Mind Blades is pretty good. Phantom Foes is also really, really good, but not for me. Recall Agony is good. Recall Agony is kind of brutal. Because you can throw this down and like after a goddamn what do you call it? Soul Annihilation, and it'll just do 30% of their health again. Psychovampiric Shield, Amplified Thrust, Mental Binding. I'm a big fan of Mental Binding because it locks people down. But basically, we're going to be going with some shreds. We're going to be going a damaging build with a couple crowd controls in there for funsies. So we're going to go Soul Blade. All right. Moving on with Soul Blade. What are we going to start with? We're going to start with Whisper of Treason because it rules. What's Mind Wave? Oh, Mind Wave is only going to cost 5 focus, and it's a cone, and I'll be in front. Deals Raw and Crush. Let's go Mind Wave. Let's naturally synergize. Okay. Now we're finally here. Alright, remember, we're going to get +2 to everything. So we can be a little loosey-goosey with this shit. More than we otherwise would have. Alright, so we're going to just drop Constitution down to 8 and Resolve down to 8. I would not, you know, if you're going to go into melee, I could not possibly recommend dropping these anything below 10. Because something's going to hit you. And it's going to hurt like shit. We're dealing with Cipher abilities, and we're dealing with Rogue abilities. Fucking max out your perception. Accuracy is so fucking important in this game. If you miss, that sucks. Let's go take a look at accuracy here. It's a part of almost every attack. It influences how likely it is to affect the target. So the basic deal here is accuracy is so important. Penetration is the other thing. Accuracy is so important because if you get a roll within the top 25% of your to hit, it's going to be a crit. And if you get it in the bottom 25%, it's going to be a miss. So I want to crit really bad, so I'm going to be maxing out my accuracy. It's going to be the single most important thing to hit because I'm going to be going into stealth and I'm going to be doing you know, Soul Annihilation and shit like that. So definitely want big accuracy. Following that, the remaining friendly spots, I mean, Might is just damage. You can't go wrong with damage. Intellect is going to be Duration. Duration's not going to be nearly as important for me. I am going to be throwing down debuffs, but it's definitely not that important, so we can kick you up to 12. Dexterity is action speed. Can't go wrong with that. Can't go wrong with action speed. Action speed's great. So we end up with a character that, at the end of the day, is going to be 16 Might, 10 Con, 18 Dex, 21 Perception, 14 Intellect, and 10 Resolve. That seems pretty good to me. If you have suggestions about this build that are result of these stats or skills, cool. If you have suggestions related to the multi-class itself, which would be Mind Stalker, I love the way that they combine, actually, like a Paladin Chanter becomes a Herald instead of a Paladin Chanter. Fuck off, because I can't change it. You can't change your classes with this game's respec. So let's move on. Where am I from? I am going to be from... I don't remember where I said I was from originally. They do give buffs, and it's kind of a bummer that the buffs are associated with this, but I always go with Deadfire. I think I went with Deadfire the first time I played. So Deadfire is going to boost up Dexterity just a little bit there, and it minused something else. Oh, nothing. It's a pure buff. So what we can do is just keep that there, and we can put it anywhere. It really doesn't matter. Yeah, let's take Perception down to 18, and then we can put. No, we're gonna keep Dex and Perception as high as possible. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. All right, so we're from the Deadfire, which is the area of the game takes place in. So that's cool. What were we? Now, I originally picked the Merchant class back in the original day because there was absolutely nothing here that fit anything to do with my life whatsoever. I guess Laborer would be appropriate, but Athletics isn't really a bonus I want. That's a recover lost health thing. Hunter is the only one that starts with Mechanics, which would be for luck. Locked shit. But Eder starts Fighter Rogue anyway, so it doesn't really matter. He's going to be rolling that as well. Raider, Streetwise, Athletics, and Stealth. That's me being a criminal. I could have been a slave. Nah. Explorer, Survival, Diplomacy, History, Drifter. Sleight of Hand, that's pickpocketing. I really don't care for it. Clergy, Aristocrat, Diplomacy, Buff, Intimidate. Aristocrat is just basically, hey man, you want to talk this out? Do you want to talk it out? Stealth is actually really poorly represented here. In fact, Raider and... God, is it just Raider? It is just Raider that has Stealth. Which sucks, because I'm going to be wanting to run Stealth. Let's go with... I don't want to be a criminal. Don't want this either. Merchant. Unfortunately, Merchant does... Oh, Merchant does start with Diplomacy. Okay. You know what? Let's go with what's Streetwise? Let's Survival for... Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's go with the Merchant. I was a Merchant last time. I'll be a Merchant this time. All right. Here's your weapon proficiencies. You get to pick 2 types. I personally love Dagger's Parrying Blade. I absolutely adore it. However, there's also Piercing Thrust for Stiletto. I like having an offhand that's a real offhand instead of like a big weapon in my offhand. So I tend to go with Stiletto. Maybe yeah, probably Dagger. Now the interesting thing here, and it's really interesting, and that is this is not weapon proficiencies. It's actually literally called weapon proficiencies, but what I mean is that in D&D, a weapon proficiency means you get a +1 to hit, or you get you can't use the fucking thing at all, like if you don't have an exotic proficiency. Here, it's literally like, do you want to use the weapon modal? And you get like 3 or 4 of these as you go through. So the weapon modal for swords is increased penetration, which is actually pretty good. But it decreases your deflection. Now, luckily, I'm being a character that doesn't really gonna hit a lot, so I can just throw that on there right there. And you do increased recovery time for increased penetration. Not as good on the offhand. Deflection against melee weapons, but decreases the damage on the dagger. But my thing's a primary attack, so yeah, let's go with Sword and Dagger. That's a cool look for me. Now we have available characters here, but before we do that, let's go fix my head. I'm gonna be a gruff little fucking elf there. Look at me, mad. The hairstyles don't appear to change depending on the race, so that's a bit odd. Oh my god, look at this fucking asshole. It's fucking Thancred. Yeah, I'm gonna go and beat up with my head shaved, because I mean, let's face it, guys. The portrait, however, I know it's an elf, and I know I could pick this guy, But I really want to pick this new portrait that I made from, what do you call it? Painter of Ulasil. Made that a million years ago. I could, you know, pick this or this. But, no, I'm going to pick this. And for any issues that arise in between the portrait and this, I don't care. I really just don't give a shit at all. Because we're never going to be zooming down to this character ever again. So we're just going to pretend that this is my driver's license photo in Aora before I shaved, and that I'm a rare elf that can grow a beard. We're just going to pretend. And we're going to go with purple. And that is purple, shut your fucking mouths. And black pants, because I'm going to be sneaky. Voice, I always go with stoic.
Let's go. Steady does it. Yeah? Follow me.
It's the most, I want to say, normal voice, right? And pose. Okay, well, this is a fun one. You can get to go average, big hero, hunched, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous, roguish, the other roguish, stoic, pouty, sickly. This is what we would assign to Paige if she played in the game. Erudite, which I believe means religi. And you got pious, which is the other religi. Then you got drunk, which was added to the game later. Energetic, which sucks. And then savage, which is actually really cool, but not for this character. So instead, I'll just go stoic. And the name is going to be Patron. No longer a coward. Due to the lack of viciously min-maxed stats. Now, back to being a normie. Alright, so I'm going to start with Crippling Strike and Mind Wave, Soul Whip, Soul Blade, Soul Annihilation, Sneak Attack, and Assassin, and Assassinate. Gonna start with passive buffs to Bluff, Stealth, Sleight of Hand, 2 Mechanics, Streetwise, Metaphysics, interesting, and 1 to Diplomacy. So, yeah, okay, we're good.
Go forth now, Watcher, as my herald. Know that I do not give you this title lightly. When the time comes, you will have the power to reveal the souls that cling to you. To open the gateway from the in-between to the waking world.
Okay.
Find Aethys. Learn his plans. When I have cause to talk to you, I will summon you.
Okay.
With a quick gesture of her hand, you feel a sharp pain in what would be your chest. The pain continues, intruding deeper into your soul. Looking down, you see a small lump of darkness roiling within you. The darkness lingers there, but the pain abates and fades entirely within the span of a few seconds.
A chime. Do not fear, Herald. It will not harm you unless you choose to cross me. I trust it will not come to that.
Oh, cool,
Gauntleted
thanks.
hand gestures to the dwarf, hovering nearby. The dwarf nods, contorts his face with his odd smile, and gestures to a new door.
Well, now that the character is made, we can zoom out and be on our way. We did it, guys. We got through the hardest part of the game. We made a character. And to save ourselves some time, we can just click on up there. Goosebumps rise on Edair's arms at your approach, but he doesn't seem to know that you're there. You sense the steward's spirit in the bust, but she's unaware of you. And I've got my mouse 4 as my highlight. Alright, let's go back into our body. I love how fast it has to go into the pose.
Feels like waking after a fitful drunken sleep. The rocking of the ship sends pain jolting through your limbs. Crashing waves hammer inside your skull. Adair watches over your body with a glazed look, taking long, even tokes from his pipe. At the first movement of your chest, he starts. His gasp, mid-puff, sends him coughing and straining for breath.
No, there's no way. You're awake. What are you doing awake? How are you feeling?
So I like this. If I was a mystic, if I was a philosopher, I'd be able to answer these questions a certain way. I like to have these turned on, personally, to see, like, it adds more even if it feels locked out. But the one I always pick is just, who are you, dude?
Me? You don't remember?
Adair points at his face, which he seems to be arranging into his most recognizable expression. Receiving no response, he shrugs.
I'm the captain of this boat, and I was real big back in Deerwood. Had this keep called Cadnua. I was famous, and I was what you'd call a watcher. I'd go around talking to dead folks and creeping out just about everyone who saw. You're just some farmer. Likes to follow me around. Take most of the beating for me when we get attacked. Don't worry, it'll all come back.
It's very funny, Eder.
Ah, see? You remember. Anyway, you didn't answer my question. How you feeling?
I'm in a lot of pain. I feel pretty fucked up, like I lost 19 levels. But I gained a new subclass.
That might have been me. I've been slapping you a little harder each day, trying to wake you. I never dreamed it'd work.
Adair stares with disbelief at what would likely be his slapping hand, examining both sides. He shrugs.
Well, you owe me.
I hate to cast a pall over your recovery, but I'm afraid I have some bad news for you.
How bad?
The voice echoes from inside the bust. The remains of the steward of Cadnua.
Cadnua has been destroyed.
Cool.
Aethus possessed the statue of Maros Nua and rose from the ground, consuming the souls of all nearby. It is only by the exceptional strength of your soul that you survived. And even then, just barely. The further Aethus withdrew, the weaker you became. We chartered this ship and followed him to the Deadfire Archipelago. I know not how, but it seems he has retained a piece of your soul. And proximity to it has brought you back.
Well, I know.
How could you know all that? You've been faking on us.
He pokes at your shoulder with one finger.
Adair, I have been faking it. I faked it every time.
Misfortunes brewing topside. Migrants fires the captain stirs.
An older man with ale-sour breath rubs his bloodshot eyes and stares at you.
What's wrong?
Engrim, the smell of drink on your breath could wake the very dead. Now what's this about?
Pirates. They're demanding parley with you, Captain.
Pirates?
I know this is asking a lot, but you better arm yourself and get on deck. Should be some gear in there. There's gear in that wardrobe. Take what you need.
There are weapons in the armoire here.
Alright, so this is what I'm starting with. I'm starting with 6 focus, which is like enough to actually cast Mind Wave right off the fucking bat. That's cool. And I'm starting with, let's see.
You hearing all right?
I'm starting with, what is this? 3 Guile for Crippling Strike. Okay. So, there's Q. There's W. No? E? R? How many of these hotkeys am I allowed to fucking make? Hold on a second. Let's take a look at my keybinds. Boop, 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 boop. Controls. Alright. Camera left is WASD, of course. Take all is E. Character sheet. Blah, 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 blah. Keypad. Mouse 3. Zoom in. It can't just be Q. It doesn't make any fucking sense. 1, 2, 3, 4. No. T. Y, U. Okay, T, Y, U. Ugh.
Are notorious. I suggest you
Ugh.
deal with them quickly.
I don't like that. We're just gonna put fucking U as Q because, you know, goddamn. Let's see. What have we got here? We got Watchers. Visages the Herald of Death. Use your Watcher powers to gaze through your target and frighten them. Got it. This. Can I click it? Is that how that works? No. Crippling Strike. Will hobble, which counts as a sneak attack condition, and then Mind Wave, which is going to be everything you would expect. Okay. And we're going to keep the AI on, because goddamn. Alright. Let's put you up here. Nah, yeah, it doesn't matter really. Mail armor. I mean, that's pretty heavy, but whatever. We're going to start with what the game wants me to have.
I'll make some use of it.
Alright. No. There we go. There we go. That's much better. And let's get that mail armor on there. Cause I'm gonna fucking die in like a second with regular ass clothing out there. That's a little heavier than I like, but we're gonna start with that. We're also gonna save the game. Start of our new journey with Paige. So I don't have to do any of that shit again.
Well, what have we here? A little sloop? Lost and alone in the storm?
Bitch.
I'll be taking your ship now, if you don't mind. And
I do.
especially if you do.
I do mind.
Well, at least he asked.
I am a gentleman of fortune. Give her up easy, and I'll see you get a swift death. It'll be bloody and agonizing, sure. But at least it'll be quick.
The storm's pretty loud, dickhead. Did you say that you're surrendering? That's so weird.
And then he's going to wear his breeches on his head and dance for us? Did I hear that right?
I think you did, Eder.
Aye, but the breeches are gonna be stitched from your skin.
See, he's not fun. Benevolent just ain't fun.
You got a smart mouth on ya. Careful. That'll get you killed faster than any blade. Listen up, mates. I'm off to spear me a bigger fish. One with sharper teeth like. I'm trusting you lot not to cock this up. Don't damage the sloop when you take it. Play with the crew if you'd like, but don't bring me any prisoners. None that are alive.
And here we go. The first fight. Now, luckily, I don't think Eder's even part of this gang. We can just... What are you... Oh, that's your vision? Am I starting stealthed? Oh, and I got Stinky Pete to start. Sales of Bereth, Scavengers. I guess I'm starting stealthed. And I'm not attacking who I wanted to attack. But that's okay. Holy shit. I did a bunch of damage to that motherfucker. And now, I have enough to try out my new toy. Oh, am I casting Mind Wave by automatic? I don't want that. I want to cast... I want to cast my Big move. Oh my god, I'm tearing these motherfuckers up. This is definitely a DPS class.
Storm's picking up! Take cover!
Dude, I killed them so fast I couldn't figure out how to play a game. You've defeated the pirates, but you're not out of trouble yet. The storm picks up, lashing your ship and driving you dangerously close to a rocky shore. The Defiant's crew hurries to reduce sail and batten down the hatches. They work quickly, but the ship is still listing heavily. So I'm an idiot. This dog was going nuts and having a little tantrum, so I didn't want to screw up the recording. You know, worried about crazy dog barks coming through. So I got up and hit the mute button on my mixer, and then took care of him, gave him some attention, you know, or, you know, saw what he wanted. He wanted to go upstairs. Came back and then recorded about 45 more minutes after this exact moment. Which I'm only now realizing later in the editing process. So, not used to pre-recording videos anymore. That's for sure. Gonna be a learning process again. I gotta learn how to do it all over again. Oh, and without further ado, whatever. Just then, a loose crate tumbles towards you, gathering speed on the rain-slicked deck. It misses you, but knocks Chatupak, one of your deckhands, off his feet. The Defiant heaves. He pitches over the side. He grabs the rail, but his fingers are slipping. He cries out for help. Meanwhile, the runaway crate totters on the edge of the deck, ready to plunge overboard. You recognize the symbol on the front and realize it contains the salvage from Cadnua, your key. I could rescue him, or I could save the crate. You know, I rescued him last time, and it caused me to screw up and forget to keep recording. So let's go for the crate. I think this is some carryover bonuses. You seize the crate just as it's about to tip into the rolling sea. It's heavy, but you manage to heave it back from the edge. As it thumps onto the deck, you hear a fading scream and a splash. He's gone. He's fucking dead. He's dead as shit. Meanwhile, the storm has nearly driven you ashore. A flash of lightning reveals a giant naked Jesus floating in the distance with his big old butt 100 feet in the air. The lookout barely has time to shout a warning before the Defiant runs aground. The impact hurls you from the deck and into a froth of waves, bodies, and splintering debris. You struggle towards the beach just ahead, even as the surf tugs you towards the sea. You kick and paddle with all your might until you at last feel sand between your fingers. Pulling yourself ashore, you collapse.
You've been getting a lot of sleep so far on this trip. I'd have woke you, but you look so peaceful with your face in the sand. If you're worried about the ship, you can stop worrying. It's wrecked right over there. So far, it's just you and me and the chair lady over there.
It's a relief to see you awake, my lord. I worried you were in for another long sleep.
I hate boats. I don't like boats.
Shh. It's right behind you.
Unfortunately, I believe we'll be needing the Defiant yet. Unless you mean to settle down on the island for good.
Oh, there's a thought.
Yo, any help here? I was gonna say Satan. I guess it's more like Grim Reaper, Bereth. No help? Nothing. Got it.
I'd shout for Aethys, but I'm worried he'd hear me and come over.
Alright, what do we do now?
It is your decision, but Aethys still holds a piece of your soul. He was moving inland last I saw of him. I rather think he will have been hard to miss.
Let's see about the other survivors. And somehow we gotta get the ship repaired. I don't want to be paddling out of here on a salvage raft.
For now, I'd say your best bet is to find some sign of civilization. If nothing else, we may be able to hire on a shipwright. My lord, if it is not too taxing, could you explain how it came to pass that you were returned to us?
So, I talked about this in the Lost recording, but This is one of my favorite dialogues in the entire game, and it's great. It's very dramatic, very silly, but I can't. It turns out the gods are too dumb to figure out what Aethys is doing, so they sent me back to figure it out.
Could be they're just not dumb enough to get in Aethys' way up here.
A perilous endeavor indeed. Castle or no castle, you are still my lord, and I will aid you to the best of my ability.
Well, I suppose we better get a move on.
Eder fucking rules. Take him with you. Let's go. And we're gonna swashbuckle you, my friend, because you fucking own.
What do you need?
We're gonna turn on your modal, which is 30% resistance against weapons, which is fucking sick. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. We're gonna equip myself with this piggy. We're gonna take off my armor. Don't need it anymore. Well, I probably need some clothes. There we go. Some clothes. Give myself a pirate hat. This gives Captain's Eye, which is resistance to perception afflictions. We're gonna equip this here cool saber, because it's, I mean, it does a lot of damage. We'll go back to you, dagger. I promise. Golden ring, Stinky Pete. We don't care about Stinky Pete. No, but we are gonna have you use him. Sleight of hand, stealth, accuracy against flanked enemies. The accuracy against flanked enemies is gonna be really good for my main build man here. You are recovery penalty from armor is reduced. Your party deals more damage. You know what? If you can't reduce nothing, so I might as well actually wear something and not die as hard. That makes sense. Yeah. All right. Now let's see what I killed Chapultepec for, shall I? Oh, that's actually super worth it. 10% crit. That's super worth it for my specific build. Sarge Putek! Oh, not for you. No. In fact, I don't. No, no. My necklace. My necklace. It's mine. And this is my ring. And this is my cape. It's all mine, Eder. And my gloves, also. Eder, you can have the Obsidian Cloak. It looks nice on you.
This looks great on me.
Now, normally I would play a lot longer past this, considering we just did the tutorial. However, I did! So we're going to call it here for the end of today. We're actually going to save over my earlier save game. So I had to start a new character for this shit. Because I fucked it up. Because I oversaved the save that I made on the boat. Start of a new adventure for patron. Again. Alright, and I'll get to recording another one of these in the near future. Hopefully, I'll delete these fucking things. Hopefully you guys will enjoy these. That's it for me. You guys have a good evening, or yeah, you'd probably be watching this in the evening. Regardless, have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.